Hello and welcome back to Mark's Garden UK, and as you can probably see, I'm not in my garden at the moment because I've decided to have a few days in Italy, and specifically I'm at Lake Como. Whilst visiting Lake Como, I've decided to take a bus up to the town of Bellagio, and whilst I'm here I'm having a look in a garden, the Giardini di Villa Melzi. I've probably pronounced that all wrong, but I am a working class boy from Rochdale and the garden is beyond those gates behind me, so let's go in and have a look round. The garden is positioned on a narrow strip right on the edge of the lake. The town of Bellagio is about 200 metres in that direction, and you will have to buy a ticket to get in this garden. I've already bought my ticket, €8 per adult, and as you will see in a moment, it's exceptional value for money. There are some wonderful things just inside, but just look at that view also, and you get views of this lake all around this amazing Italianate garden. On entering the garden, you're greeted with two options. You can either walk along the edge of the lake on a long narrow path, or turn to your immediate left and go through this little tunnel where this enchanting little grotto opens up onto another path, alongside which is a beautiful little pond. Let's go and have a look at that pond. That's the tunnel we've just come from. There are steps over a bridge which leads to a vantage point, allowing you to see over the lake in that direction. And down here is the little water pond, and we'll go a little bit further in a minute, but look at this cute, enchanting little grotto. I ought to mention that this is a garden of sculptures as well all over this garden. In a very Italian fashion are positioned dozens of sculptures, and you'll see those as I walk around. Now, that little garden pond, and I say little, it's probably bigger than any garden pond in the UK, has a lovely little bridge over it. Let's go over the bridge. So here's the beautiful little bridge, and you can see all the way up the garden pond, quite long and narrow in both directions. Each of these trees, by the way, has a label at the bottom of it, so you can identify all the plants if you want to. And all around us Italian people, so you do get to hear quite a lot of Italian voices in the background, and I quite like that. I love the way the Italians speak. There's a Colocasia escalenta. I'm sure that can stay outside all winter, although having said that, I'm not sure how cold the winters get around here. Some more images of the pond now, and some goldfish. I wonder if they're tame like mine were. I used to own goldfish that would come up to my fingers if I wriggled them in the water. These are being a little bit coy. Excuse the pun. Back now onto that lovely long path that runs alongside of the lake, which you can see to my right. There's a little chapel, which we'll visit that in a minute, but look at this here on this lawn. Quite a steep slope here, and they've made a terraced diagonal path which goes up and across and back again, and I'll go up to the top of that in a moment so that you can see how it actually works, but it does make walking down that steep slope quite a lot easier. Let's walk along this lovely path along the side of the lake to the chapel. Trachycarpus everywhere, and I think those are Italian cypress, and we're approaching the chapel now. I've called it a chapel. There are actually two chapels in this garden. There's a much bigger one in the corner, but for now let's go and have a look inside this one, because I know already there's some lovely sculptures inside there. Now I'm going to limit the talking whilst I go inside here, because there are other people inside and I don't want to intrude on their enjoyment, so let's just go and have a look in, and I shall take some video once we're inside. And opposite the entrance to that chapel, another sculpture. You can walk past these without even noticing them, but just imagine the skill that's gone in to carving what looks like incredibly realistic cloth out of a single piece of marble. All day long here, the sound of motor launches going up and down the lake. So you emerge from underneath that line of plane trees on the edge of the lake to a scene of incredible, what I think is architectural drama and beauty. Look at the cypress up the top of the hill there, but look at this villa. Incredible. Wow, quite incredible. And this is the second of the two chapels I mentioned earlier, and you can go inside. Some incredible bamboos over there to the left. I'll come back and look at those. I am going to go inside, but again, I'm going to be quiet when I go in there. I think you're allowed to film, but I wouldn't want to disturb anyone's peace by watching on for my video. So let's go inside quietly and have a look at the incredible sculptures. Now, I am alone in here, so I'm going to allow myself the luxury to respectfully speak whilst I admire these incredible sculptures. Imagine this being your place of worship. Incredible. But just look at that. And up there around the ceiling, absolutely incredible. Each piece made by hand and chisel. And there's the altar, of course. We won't be going on the altar. And the floor tiled with a mosaic, absolutely pristine and immaculate. And all these walls lined with marble. Again, another plaque there, all hand carved. An old font. And then let's look back. And then we will quietly exit. There's the organ. Quite amazing. Back into the garden. So there's the chapel, quite a modest building on the outside compared to what we've just seen on the inside. There is another entrance here, by the way. You can come into this garden and pay for your ticket in two different places. So don't be surprised if you see two different entrances on the road or on the map. And then we'll spin round and we'll have a look at these incredible bamboos. Look at that. Massive bamboos there. Let me put my fist around one so you can see just how big these stalks are. Quite incredible. Massive strong bamboos, that's a wonderful feature. But bamboos, as they are known for being quite invasive, be careful if you decide to copy this. Now, if you've got a rocky slope to contend with and you want greenhouses, this is the way to do it. And we shall be venturing up that path in a moment. Let me just have a look inside one of these. They're a work of art, these greenhouses. I think I counted 5, look at that. All with opening lights and hotbeds. Very dry soil. Anyway, shelves with some terracotta pots. Wonderful, quite an incredible design. I'm going to skip over these now and show you the roofs, but they're all like this inside. And here we are at the top of the hill, and this is the back of the villa. The gardens below the lake and the mountains in the distance, and this is the high point of the garden, and everything from now is downhill. So let's go and see what more we can discover and explore. Stunning palm trees at the back of the villa. Down there in the distance are some banana beds. I'll go and have a look at those in a moment because they've got Musa Bajju in flower. And look at the way they've made kind of sculptures down there out of bay up against the back wall of the villa. This whole space is separated from the outside world on one side by the lake and on the other by a massive wall. On the other side of that wall is the road, and that's where the buses come and go. I got the C30 that goes all the way from Como up to Bellagio. And here is that sloping, weaving path which I showed you from below earlier. Look at it. Isn't that amazing? They've done this to make it easier to come up this steep slope. Backwards and forwards, it probably makes the journey or the distance about 5 times as long, but at least you can get down there in relative safety. If you were to fall on this slope, you'd never stop until you reach the bottom. But look at that, amazing. And again, the lake in the distance, helicopter above. Lots of helicopters go around this area. It's probably some superstar like George Clooney returning to his villa. The little chapel again now, filmed from up the hill. There it is below us with its domed ceiling and its archways, and the Italian cypress to the left and right. Great symmetry. A view beyond of a little town in the distance, and the lake to the left and the right. Wonderful. Another elevated views of the plane trees from earlier. A slope, a path, another slope, a flat area, and then some box balls in the distance, and a little font there positioned at a water feature. Now we've kind of gone full circle here. We've gone along the front of the garden, in the front of the villa, around the back of the villa, up the hill, and then back down again over there behind me. And so we emerge back at the villa again. And before I go down around the back of the villa, down there, and show you the banana bed, let's have a look in this little structure here. It's a little museum of antiquities. I can't spend too much time in here, but I'll just give you a flavour of what you'll see if you decide to visit. And as always, when I make these visits, I always stress, I can't possibly cover everything in a video as short as the one I put on YouTube. So please, if you get a chance, do come. This space clearly used to be an orangery, but it's now given over to housing antiquities. And so the final stop on our tour of these wonderful Italianate gardens will be to my left here, where we have a look at some Musa Basjou in flower. Let's go and do that. Look at this. We'd love a bed like this at home. Look at that though. It's flowered, and it's got some tiny little bananas. Obviously they're not edible bananas. And here's another one that's flowered. Look at that. Tiny little fingers of bananas there, and there's the old flower head. Isn't that amazing? I'm pretty sure that's your Musa Basjou, which is a hardy banana in the UK, and it shows you just what you can do and the effect you'll get if you plant many of these in a single bed. Quite wonderful. If you venture into the antiquarium, which is through this doorway here underneath the orangery, you will find lots of antiques, as you would probably expect. Now this is a gardening video, so I won't spend too long looking at antiques, but just to give you a flavour, this is what you can expect to find in here. So I shall finish this video by saying I think this garden is well worth a visit. It's definitely worth the €8 that I've paid to come inside, and I would recommend it to you if you get the chance. Hope you've enjoyed this little guided tour, and please do like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon for some more garden tour adventures. Bye for now.